Hundreds of employees and supporters gathered outside the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention headquarters in Atlanta this week to protest the forced departure of several senior health leaders and to call for the protection of science from political interference. Demonstrators carried signs reading "CDC saves lives" and "You are heroes," rallying behind colleagues they say were dismissed or pressured to resign after resisting White House directives on vaccines and conspiratorial public health policy. The demonstration followed a turbulent series of events that have shaken the agency. On Wednesday, the White House abruptly fired CDC Director Susan Monarez, who had been in the role for less than a month. Within hours, several top deputies, Dr. Deborah Owry, Dr. Dimitri Daskalakis, Dr. Daniel Jernigan, and Dr. Jennifer Layden tendered their resignations.
I think vaccines save lives. I think that we need to continue to support the promotion of utilization of vaccines.
This morning, the four were escorted off the campus, a move some staff described as needlessly humiliating.
We'll confirm that we let go Susan Monarez yesterday. I'm not going to talk about personnel issues, but the CDC is an agency that is very troubled.
For many inside the agency, Monarez's dismissal marked breaking point. Owry, who served as deputy director and chief medical officer, told reporters that she and her colleagues left because they no longer believed scientific leadership could be protected. "We were going to see if she could weather the storm," she said. "When she was forced out, we knew the politics had taken over, and we were done." The leadership shakeup comes as the CDC is still reeling from an armed attack on its Atlanta headquarters earlier this year, when a gunman fired hundreds of rounds into the building before killing a local police officer. Staff say morale has been further eroded by growing political pressure from the Trump regime, particularly regarding vaccines. The White House confirmed that Monarez's firing stemmed from her refusal to align with the administration's health priorities. A lawyer representing her called the dismissal unlawful, noting that she was informed of her termination by personnel staff and not by Donald Trump himself. Monarez has declined public comment, but colleagues say she consistently resisted orders that clashed with science. According to Dr. Richard Besser, a former acting CDC director who spoke with her the day before she was fired, Monarez had vowed not to do anything illegal or against the evidence. One flashpoint was her refusal to automatically approve recommendations from a newly reconstituted vaccine advisory panel. In June, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. dismissed the long-standing Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, which for decades has guided CDC vaccine policy. He replaced its members with individuals skeptical of vaccines and shut out several major medical groups that had previously participated. Monarez attempted to strengthen transparency by ensuring data and slide presentations were posted well ahead of meetings and that sessions were open to public comment. Senior health officials at the Department of Health and Human Services rejected those changes, summoning her to Washington earlier this week. Shortly afterward, her firing was announced.
I think that it would be hard to continue without feeling that as a physician I have compromised my Hippocratic oath. I said first do no harm, and I feel like CDC is being weaponized, and I can't be a party to weaponizing something to hurt people. I think but I also want to say us resigning together, it's a red flag. It's a red flag for Congress. It's a red flag for America.
With global measles cases climbing more than 20% in a single year, the prospect of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a longtime vaccine skeptic shaping U.S. health policy, has deeply alarmed public health experts. Kennedy has built his brand and made money promoting dangerous misconceptions, from falsely claiming that the CDC approved COVID-19 vaccines without any scientific basis, to suggesting that environmental toxins in drinking water influence children's gender identity, and even arguing that Lyme disease was highly likely engineered as a military bioweapon. Experts warn that placing someone with such insane views at the center of health policy risks worsening an already fragile public health landscape. In solidarity with Monarez, 3 senior officials announced they would step down together. Dr. Owry emphasized the symbolism of their joint exit, We reached a tipping point, and leaving as a group showed the depth of our concern. Daskalakis, who had led immunization and respiratory disease programs, said he could no longer serve in an environment where our science will be compromised. Jernigan, a veteran of 3 decades at the agency and a leader in pandemic preparedness, urged colleagues to fight for evidence-based health decisions. Let the science lead us. That's how we get the best outcomes for public health. All 3 spoke at Thursday's protest, addressing hundreds of staffers who walked out in solidarity. Daskalakis praised them for their courage. You are the people who protect America, and we are going to be your loudest advocates. Kennedy, appearing on Fox News, did not directly address the resignations, but criticized what he described as a deep malaise at the CDC, calling for strong leadership to execute President Trump's agenda. His comments further fueled staff concerns that the agency is being dismantled from within. For public health experts, the shake-up raises alarms about the independence of U.S. health policy. The CDC has long relied on outside experts to guide vaccine decisions, which are then adopted by physicians, schools, and insurers nationwide. By replacing that structure with an advisory group of vaccine skeptics, critics argue the administration is putting ideology over science. Monarez's lawyers, Mark Zaid and Abby Lowell, issued a statement defending her record. When she refused to rubber stamp unscientific, reckless directives and fire dedicated health experts, she chose protecting the public over serving a political agenda. For that, she has been targeted. The protest outside CDC headquarters was both a show of solidarity and a warning about the agency's uncertain future. Organizers said the gathering was meant to affirm that the work of protecting Americans from infectious disease must not be compromised by politics. Many in attendance carried homemade placards, while others shared personal stories of working on vaccine campaigns, pandemic response, and outbreak investigations. Despite the somber mood, speakers emphasized resilience. CDC saves lives, Oury told the crowd, echoing the signs lifted high across the street. That is what we do. And that mission has to continue. The turmoil leaves the CDC without its top leadership at a time of ongoing challenges, including seasonal flu, vaccine distribution, and public skepticism about government health guidance. Whether the administration appoints new leaders who can restore trust remains to be seen. For now, staffers say they will keep pressing for transparency and scientific integrity, even as political pressures mount. This is a defining moment, Daskalakis said before leaving the stage. The American people are watching, and the message we must send is clear. Public health belongs to science, not politics. I'm Anthony Davis. You can find me on the 5 Minute News YouTube channel and podcast, on Wednesdays co-hosting Uncovered, and on Sunday on The Weekend Show with Midas Touch.